Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the State TA Day webinar. Hope everyone's doing well. Can someone confirm that you can see my screen and hear my voice? Thank you so much, Stacy, Sandra, Megan, and everyone else that chimed in. I appreciate it. And we did have some technical difficulties. Someone deleted our webinar, so then you guys probably all got that cancellation. So anyway, hopefully everyone got the right link. If they did not, we are recording this and we'll post it on the OEC website by possibly tomorrow or Monday. Followed up with I'll send out all the items in that email. So our first presenter today is Elizabeth Navarez from the Mile High United Way Colorado Shines call center. And let me just make sure she is online. Elizabeth, are you here and ready to present? Let's see. I guess for the sake of time, Lisa Matter, do you want to go ahead?
Yep, I can do that. Hang on, let me find my screen. Do you need to give me, I'm gonna make myself the presenter and find my slides here. I just wanna give everybody, I'm gonna do my very best today, but my daughter didn't go to sleep till 3 a.m. and we get up at 5 at my house to work before our kids get up. So I am doing my very best today, but if I don't answer your question effectively, let's talk tomorrow. I'm physically ill from how little sleep I had last night. So thank you, and thanks for being here. We've got about 45 people here. It's great to see folks. We've had several people reach out, and Eva's here as well, so we'll kind of watch the questions about what does EQIT look like next year. The EQIT class work being done by the EQ initiative and our certified EQ infant toddler specialists across the state. So I'm just glad to just take this opportunity to tell you what Eva and I have been thinking about and really, really, really want your feedback on what this looks like for you. And kind of before we talk about what that professional development for infant toddler early care educators will look like in the next fiscal year, I want to just contextualize that in our bigger goal of that vision of the why. Why do we engage in professional development activities specific to infant and toddler care providers? Our goal is to value those people, the caregivers, the families, the infants and toddlers, so that they can thrive and be in healthy relationships where we know is where learning happens. Each and every one of them, we have a sort of a responsibility for. So this past year, everything changed suddenly as we shifted in March from in-person EQIT classes, which has been one of the primary activities that the EQ initiative has facilitated for almost 20 years. And before we talk about next year, I want to talk about this. We had 5 communities that in the middle of March, between March and May, sort of transitioned from their in-person EQIT course to a virtual course. Eva and I worked pretty hard to stand this up pretty quickly, but really rely on the efforts of those infant toddler specialists in your communities. And so I'm just sharing here an email that Joni and Kelly received from one of their participants. This is a FFN provider. And I just want you to take a minute to take in the amazing work that Joni and Kelly did to transition this class and continue to make it do just what we always wanted EQ activities to do. Value providers so that they know they're competent and they can go on and make this their first step in their professional journey. And Joni actually sent me another email after this that had a similar message of now I'm signed up for another course because this one gave me the motivation to go on and do another things. And I also do want to mention, we know that Pyramid Plus has been able to stand up a more consistent, not quick model of a virtual course. Even I checked in with Geneva Hallett in the Pyramid Plus Center, and she said she worked about 3 to 4 80-hour weeks in April to get that together. And so we know we didn't do that. And the success of the courses that completed this year really relied on the good work of the EQIT instructors. So I want to say thank you to those folks for doing that. Looking forward to next year, we would also we believe that we're going to move into some virtual courses, both for safety and because we've had this opportunity to try this out. But that said, the courses that we completed in those 5 communities this spring probably weren't perfect. They were a great first go around, and we're ready to learn more. We also want to share one other thing that we did this year that a few councils have taken us up on. So many of you may remember that Triads Early Childhood Council and Arapahoe Early Childhood Council, we received some extra grant funding for them to implement Lena Grow, which is a coaching and professional development sequence that is intended for infant and toddler care providers. And we implemented that in some family childcare homes with that grant funding, but Fremont and ECHO also engaged in using this as a model in their in a center-based setting. And I want to share some of the completed data from this. This just captures one of the classrooms after they completed this cycle. And I want you to look at that first big purple number there. The children in this childcare classroom experienced 1 million words in the 4 months that their classroom participated in the Lena Grow project. I'm pretty sure that's an extrapolation because the recordings are from 1 day per week, but the estimate is that those children collectively experienced 1 million words and 19,000 conversational turns. But the story that I actually want to tell you about this data is when I spoke with the infant toddler specialist in Canyon City, she said, you know, we started this project before COVID, and in the middle of it, our data went down. We saw a dip in the data, and guess what? It correlated with our teachers starting to wear masks. But, and a lot of people have been pretty concerned about what does it mean for babies when their teachers have masks over their faces. But when we looked at that data, the teachers said, you know what? I know how to do this. I was doing it for the other 5 Lena days that I had before I started wearing a mask. I know how to have interactions with children, even if I'm wearing a mask. And that highest day was after they started wearing masks. These teachers, because they had that data and because they've been in Lena Grow with their infant toddler specialists, they were able to say, we know how to do this. We know how to be responsive even if something changes. And so I just wanted to tell that story as that those are the 2 highlighted stories of the last month or so, that the infant toddler specialists in your communities have been phenomenal in pivoting and being responsive and continuing to do all of the work that we know is important to ensure that infants and toddlers are experiencing quality care. So this year we had EQIT courses and coaching. We had Lena Grow. Even I believe that next year, fiscal year, how will things look different? That we will probably have at least from July through December virtual EQIT courses and coaching. And we still have the option to implement Lena Grow, and we'd love to know if you are interested in trying that out, even if you haven't yet. Like we said, we trust that our certified infant toddler specialists are ready to implement Lena Grow. It's pretty effective and efficient and able to be provided in a virtual format. The original grant funding that we had was focused on family childcare, but it's also a great professional development investment in any setting where infants and toddlers are cared for. This is where we have questions for you. We want to get feedback from you. What will that look like in your community? Are your instructors ready? Do they feel ready? Is your community ready to support a virtual coaching model and a virtual course model for EQIT. We are not, what we think will happen, I'm going to get into a little bit more of these details, but what we think will happen is that we will pause the courses that we have. Well, things will look different. What we think will happen in July through December is that there are 4 or 5 of you who suspended EQIT courses in March and would like to complete those. And our best recommendation would be that you complete those virtually. And if you want to do that right away in July, you could use, this is what Eva and I are thinking of as option 1, you could use the temporary guidance that we've put together from these communities who already completed some courses this spring. Our second option is that we're going to build a better hybrid EQIT course. In our newsletter last week, we invited anyone who wanted to let us know if they'd like to be involved in imagining what's next for this. And we have heard back from a couple of you, and if you'd like to be involved in the planning of this 1.0 hybrid, we'd love for you to be involved. We do think that that will be perhaps a single course that Eva and I sort of hold close while we're trying out new strategies, with the intention of having it put together and ready for communities to implement in a hybrid way locally by September. If you can wait till September to start a course, we believe we can have a good course ready for you by then. You could also say, you know what, we're just going to pause right now and we're going to wait and see what happens. Maybe in-person courses will really be indicated again by January, and we'll wait and see what happens then. Typically, we have about 2/3 of our EQIT courses do take place after January, but we know that many of you usually start in the summer as well. We also want to highlight options. You could pause your EQIT courses and continue coaching, because we know that coaching is so important for everybody who's participating in EQIT. You could continue coaching people who've already taken EQIT. When Eva and I are running an initial EQIT hybrid course, you could be providing coaching locally for those participants. We do know that there's a lot of family childcare homes who are really stepping up and saying, I'm ready to get that 3 under 2, to get that experience license so I can take care of more infants and toddlers. And it's a really great opportunity right now, but they need this course. You could wait until we have that new course set up and engage in coaching. Another thing that we wanted, that we're sort of taking advantage of this silver lining moment to conduct coaching connected to other infant and toddler professional development, for example, the series of courses that are in the PDIS. And then Lean and Grow it's a connection of 5 hours of ongoing PD with 8 or more hours of coaching. So it's a great strategy that values the investments that caregivers make. But our big picture here is we want to avoid 2 things. We want to avoid putting infant toddler specialists or infant toddler early care educators at any additional risk that can be avoided. And we want to avoid re-experiencing the same sudden transition from in-person to virtual that happened this March, in case things change over the course of the first half of the fiscal year. So what we're hopeful to do is really make a nice transition to a solid hybrid EQIT course, and we don't believe we can have that ready to go right away in July. We want to hear your questions. I'm sure that Elizabeth is ready, and I've given my 15 minutes. I'm going to send these slides out to you. There will be some places for your feedback and comments. And again, if you want to be involved with helping us figure out the details of these things, please let us know. We'll probably be sending out information tomorrow or the next day, which I think is the weekend, actually, early next week, on when we'll meet and how we'll organize those things going forward. I'm not seeing, actually, let me I'm not seeing any questions that are here for me. Is that true? I'm just seeing that I can see and hear you. So it doesn't look like we have any questions right now, but I'll be here throughout the webinar. So if there are questions, feel free to check in and pop those in. Again, this is not written in stone guidance. This is what we think will happen for next year. And we really would like your feedback on how these things look for your community.
Hey, Lisa, there is one question. I think the rest of them pretty much addressed, but there's one from Alliance for Kids. It says, ASK can complete session 4, but don't we need to do this in this fiscal year? How do we cross fiscal years of participants paid in 1920, fiscal year 1920, but we finished the course in July 2020?
These are unusual times is a primary answer I have to that. You don't necessarily, we will keep track of it either way. In terms of participants completing the course, one of the commitments we made when we suspended the courses in March was we want to honor any amount of EQIT course that those participants have taken. So if you have 20 people who've taken 6 modules, we want to see you starting your next course for those, starting a course for that group of people at module 7. They should not have to take these things over. It was totally out of all of our hands that their course was suspended. So, and we can certainly talk offline about this. The reality is, I think there's going to be fewer EQIT courses in the coming year, and we may all have to work on a one-by-one basis and as a big group to say where does this funding belong in order to make these courses happen. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but again, and I think Alliance for Kids, we're talking tomorrow, so we can dive deeper into that.
Thanks, Lisa. And I could not tell that you've had no sleep. So just letting you know, you sound great.
Thank you. I do not feel great, but thank you.
Sure thing. All right, Elizabeth, I will go ahead and make you the presenter.
Hi. Hi. I'm sorry about earlier. Perfect. Sorry about earlier. There were a few technical difficulties going on with my audio, but thank you so much. First off, I just want to say hi. I hope that you are doing well, and I really want to thank you for all the great work that you have been doing with supporting providers during these really weird times. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So I just want to give you a couple updates. Want to start off with COVID-19 and childcare. As you know, Mile High United Way has been supporting families, answering questions related to this emergency childcare initiative. And so we have been receiving calls from families asking about the program. We have been directing them to the online survey so that they can get started with this really good initiative that has been happening. As we wrap up, I believe May 24th was the deadline for this initiative. I just want to kind of provide you general feedback. Lots of families asking about the program, wanting to take advantage of the monetary side of this initiative. And so yeah, that's pretty much what we were doing. We did see a dip in requests from families about general childcare. That wasn't really happening so much during these past few months. Families were actually more focused on finding emergency childcare and then other needs related to basic, those basic needs, directing families to our 211 database, answering questions for them on, financial needs for rent payment assistance, guidance on what to do with this pandemic. So we were a little bit more focused on those pieces and not necessarily families asking for general childcare needs. Nonetheless, I do want to highlight that there has been an increase in requests from our online intake form. So month to month, we have been seeing families taking advantage a little bit more of that online intake form. And as you know, families can access that form via our website, unitedwaydenver.org. And it's a very, very simple, very easy to understand form that they can fill out. Once they do that, it triggers our internal system, and we can go ahead and craft a list of childcare providers and send it their way within one business day. So that's really cool, kind of seeing that families are taking advantage of different ways that they can access, these childcare needs. Summer care. We are currently compiling options for families related to summer care. We're a little bit concerned since given the state that we are in, families, they don't have as many options as they used to in the past. Nonetheless, we are trying to compile options for them, trying to see what else is out there, since a few summer camps are closing, or maybe the way that they are giving services has shifted. And so we're just reaching out, trying to see what those options are for those communities. If you have any information that can help us guide these families, if you know about programs that are staying open, any summer camps that are, helping families, I would more than welcome that feedback, that direction, so that we can provide some sort of guidance to families. But yeah, we have that going on. We're compiling options, and then we're also accessing the database looking for childcare providers that may be able to help during those summer months. Last but not least, I do want to let you know about Text Your Availability. I want to show you the data behind this initiative. As you know, we implemented this texting line for providers so that they have an easier way to let us know about their availability. And so I believe we implemented this initiative back in, I want to say October or November, sometime around that. And so been asking for your help in letting providers know that this initiative exists. And so far, this is the data that we have. Not a whole ton of traffic, but nonetheless, I think it's useful to understand what are the response behind this initiative. So these are the SDAs that have utilized this service. So the blue bar here, it tells how many providers have reached out to let us know about their availability. And then the orange bar, it tells us how many providers have reached out, how many times providers have reached out with other questions, whether it be asking about licensing, or as we've seen recently, providers asking about the emergency childcare, how can they sign up, how can they help families, and just directing them for those other questions. But this is what we have so far. So SDA 5, total instances where providers reached out to us for availability. SDA 9, a total of 9 instances. SDA 11, a total with 25 instances. Super awesome. Very happy to see those numbers. And then SDA 1, 1 instance where providers reached out to us to let us know about their availability. So just please continue to tell your childcare providers that this platform exists. We really utilize the information. We really focus on helping families find availability, and us reaching out to us and giving us their information makes it so much easier when helping families. So please continue to do so. And I would also welcome any feedback that you are receiving from childcare providers on what has their experience been, whether or not this is working for them, or if they want to see something different. But yeah, this is this is what we have so far. Are there any questions?
No questions so far, Elizabeth, just a bunch of thank yous for the data. Just a reminder, go ahead and type the questions in the question box if you have them, and then if you'd rather ask them out loud, I can unmute you. And we'll send out these slides in the follow-up email.
Okay, excellent. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to connect with you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So moving right along, I want to say it was last week or maybe it would have been 2 weeks ago, everyone received an email about funding stream details, because it is almost that time of year again, almost July 1st, when we will start setting up funding streams and releasing quality improvement dollars. Our next presenters will talk a little bit about that. And we have Erin and Lilith from the Denver Early Childhood Council. And they own the, we contract with the Denver Early Childhood Council to manage the EC Connect and Sugar system.
Awesome, thanks, Monica. We actually were going to do a little screen share. I think I can figure out how to do that. Let's try it. Okay.
It looks like it's work. Looks like you have control. We're just waiting to view it. And then Lilith, are you there as well, or do I need to unmute you?
Nope, I'm here.
Oh, great. Okay.
Okay, did that work?
And we can see your screen.
Awesome. Okay, so first of all, thank you to everyone who filled out that survey that we sent out a week or two ago for the funding stream set up for CSQI 2021. We got some good feedback that it was a relatively smooth process, so we hope that it continues to be that way, because now we have to transition all of that great information that you gave us in that survey into Sugar. So that is what Lilith and myself are working on over the next few days. So what I wanted to take a minute to show you all right now is just what you will do once all that information is in Sugar. So to reiterate, don't like hop off this webinar and try to do it right now, even though I know you're trying to be super proactive. Just wait until we send your grant lead an email saying that your funding stream is ready, and then you'll do these steps. So once you get that email, the step is to just log into Sugar. That's where we start, and go to the funding streams module. So you can just go to that home page, and I see all of everyone's business because I'm an admin, but you should only see like 4 funding streams. So what you'll want to do is find the one that you want for CSQI 2021. So again, make sure that the dates that you see on it are correct. For me, I'm just going to use a test one to show you today. And actually, this is a good little tidbit. If you're ever trying to search for something and it doesn't show up, you can click this little refresh list thing, and it should basically rerun the search for you. So I'm going to open up my little test funding stream, and these are the dates that you'll want to check. Mine are in the past because this is for pretend, but you'll want to make sure that you're one with dates for the future. So starting July 1, 2020 and ending June 31st, 2021. So you'll open up that little funding stream, and there are just a few things that you want to make sure that you check to make sure that they're correct. We will have gone in and updated everything you sent us, but we are also only human, so we request that you do sort of a final review before you open applications. And if you're wondering what you need to check, we actually made a little article. Actually, Lilith made this, so that's why it's so fun and colorful and has bright stars. And this is in the solutions site, and we can also send you a link. Monica, can we send a link out after this to this article?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So we'll make sure we send it out to you that way. And this is just a really quick summary of what to check. So you can see in the program summary tab, make sure your key contact names and emails are correct. So you just go down to the key contacts, make sure the right people are listed here. Application setup, CSQI configuration, default requisition type, and MOU signers. So that's this tab here. Make sure that anything in this CSQI configuration section looks okay. Again, this will all be updated based on what you told us, but the main things, make sure your default requisition and default coaching type are set correctly. And then make sure that your MOU signer setup is set the way that you want it to be. We have a default setting, and we also have your information you gave us, but make sure that looks good. If you sent us a custom MOU that you plan on using that your program officer at OEC approved, you'll also see that here. So instead of standard, it will say your council's abbreviation. So that's how you can know for sure that you're using the custom one that you sent us. And then finally in the budget summary tab, we just have to check our indirect cost rate, pop back up here, budget summary, and then your indirect cost rate is, where'd you go? Well, indirect cost rate is right here. And you want to make sure that that is a decimal that is less than 1. That shows what percent of the allocation will be going to sort of indirect costs versus directly to provider allocations. And last but not least, you just have to check the coaching rate, pop back up, make sure you do it for both internal, which is your estimated rate, and external, which is the only rate that's listed on this page. And then that's it. So then you're just doing this last step here where you open up applications. And this is super easy, but it's also essential because no one will be able to apply for these fundings until you do this step. So once everything looks 100% the way you want it, just go into application setup, scroll down to the CSQI configuration section and click on this application ready for release. Select yes and save it. And once it sort of gives you the go-ahead that it's saved successfully, you should be ready to go and you can start reaching out to programs to help them apply for this funding. If you run into any rocky road surprises, you see something, you're like, wait, I thought I answered this differently, I don't understand, please just reach out to the support at econnectcolorado.org. That's our help desk, and at least one of us is every single day, so we'll get back to you as quickly as we can. And if you answered anything on the survey that was maybe a little surprising to us or we weren't quite sure what you were intending, we will be reaching out in the next couple of days personally to just clarify that before we put it into sugar. So again, this is just a final check, but everything should be mostly ready to go.
And Erin, the councils will have to do this for Colorado Shines QI and Hardship QI, correct?
Yes, thank you. Yes, definitely do this for both funding streams.
This should be the same as last year, but I know I wanted Erin to go ahead and present on this just since it's been a whole year ago that we did this, and we do have some new council coordinators.
Yeah, especially
when you don't have any questions.
Great, well, feel free to reach out if any questions do come up as you're going through this. And for now, your only task is to keep an eye on your inbox because we'll let you know when your funding stream's ready to review.
Thanks so much, Erin.
Of course, thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Let me share my screen for this next announcement. It's very exciting. So everyone remembers our QRS coordinator, Emily, that moved on about 7 months ago. So we now have hired a replacement, and we have a Charlie, and he will be our new member of our team. He just started yesterday or 2 days ago, so welcome, Charlie. And he's just going to go ahead and talk a little bit about himself. Charlie, are you there? I'm pretty sure I unmuted you.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. And are we able to see your pictures of you and your kids?
There I am.
Okay, great.
For all to see. Thanks, Monica. So hello, my name is Charlie Ruda. Charles is my official name if you get an email from that. And super excited to be joining the team at the state. I've been working for the past 3 years at Clayton Early Learning, and I know I've worked with a lot of coaches and councils and providers as the Inter-Rater Reliability Team Manager there at Clayton, working with the ERS scales, and I'm doing some other assessments and things like that. Prior to that, I was Colorado Shines assessor working for Qualistar. And so I'm very familiar with the QRIS system. And I'm a Colorado native, lived here for most of my life, minus a few years spent working for AmeriCorps and doing some other things like that. And I do have 2 wonderful school-age children. They are in a foster to adopt program, and we're hoping to adopt them coming up in the next couple of months here once the courts get back up and running. And I'm just super excited to be part of this team and to start doing some real great work with all of you moving forward here and navigating through what I know has been a challenging time for everybody. So it is my pleasure to be on this team and to be here to support you, and feel free to reach out if you need anything from me.
Thanks so much, Charlie. And we do have a question. Someone's asked, so Charlie is a QRS coordinator, so his role will be just like Michelle Gonzalez and myself. So she'll be, he has not been assigned councils yet, but probably the first week of July we'll do that. There were some questions and there was confusion about Charlie's new role, so that's why I'm clarifying.
Yes, so yeah, I'm replacing the work that Emily used to do, and I will be having some, I will be taking on as the lead for some councils, and yeah, we're gonna get that all figured out with a hope to start by early July with me in the lead there.
Thanks, Charlie. Does anyone have any questions for Charlie? Lots of welcomes, and people are excited to work with you.
And this is Karen. I just wanted to welcome Charlie officially as well. And I will let you guys know we're working on you know, the assignments of ECCs. There'll be some minor changes, nothing major. So if you've been working with your existing person, you'll probably continue to do so, but we did have to make a few adjustments just because of sizes of councils and that sort of thing. So we'll, as soon as we get that all official, we'll get that sent out to you fairly quickly, but you'll still continue to work mostly with Monica and Michelle while we're getting Charlie up to speed. So if you guys have any questions, you can also reach out to me. Thanks.
Thanks, Karen. So just a reminder, we were going to have Sarah Jane Giraldi from the CCAT team. She just wanted me to remind everyone that there is the CSTAT Fiscal Agreement Task Force going on. And for a while, we had a lot of council participation, but last month we only had 8 councils participate out of the 34. So in the follow-up items for the email, there's a survey that we'll send out, and it's just to make sure they have your information. That way, if you want to be part of that task force or you just want to sit in on the meetings, you can do so. And then just a few quick announcements from our team. Oh, we do have a question. Hold on. It says, I would love for these to still continue. I find them extremely valuable. Oh, Lisa, are you referring to the CCAP Fiscal Agreement Task Force? Oh, okay, she is. So I just every council that has participated in those Fiscal Agreement Task Force, they have benefited from them. So we'll send out that information if you want to join. You're able to attend, well, back in the day, pre-COVID, you were able to attend in person or call in, but now it's just call in only, but they are quite interesting. Just back to our announcements, if you had a CCR&R contract this current fiscal year, we're doing a purchase order moving forward for next state fiscal year. So that work will begin July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. Michelle and I have submitted all of those to our contracts team, so you should be hearing something real soon. So thank you guys for that quick turnaround. I know you only had a few days. And then I'm pretty sure we sent this email out, but if we did not, hopefully it's not news, brand new news, pretty much the same as every year. State fiscal year 2019-2020 invoices will be due to our office July 6th. And if you're unable to turn them in by then, just let us know by July 13th the amount you'll be billing us for. So pretty much same process as years prior to this one. And we really just need a quick email saying, you know, well, I'm going to invoice you for systems building for $200 or whatever it is. We need to have it in writing, and then we'll set up accounts payable for that. And then we have a ratings update. Do you want to give that update, Karen?
Hi, sure. So, gosh, I feel bad. I didn't have any slides to share like everybody else put together slides. It was nice. But I did just want to give everybody a quick update that we have been in contact with, of course, March, April, and May sites fairly regularly, just to kind of keep people, you know, knowing that they're for those April and May sites, especially, that their windows are still open. We've had lots of feedback like, this is too overwhelming for me, and we're just like, it's okay, it's fine, just, you know, work at your pace, because obviously we're not out in the field doing observations at this point in time. So we are, however, getting ready to call the June programs just to let them know the same thing. And of course, we want to keep you guys informed. So if they were scheduled, they'll get a phone call in the next week, just like they normally would. And, you know, let the rating specialist will let them know that, you know, we'll go ahead and open up their surveys and their, you know, upload documentation. Some folks will be in session, some folks won't. And so we'll just work with everyone individually based on where they're at. And then just moving forward, just to be super transparent, we aren't 100% sure what it's going to look like. We're hoping to get back into the field between the months of June and July. If for some reason we feel like we can't, we're going to take a pause for a minute and really start to think about whether or not we can do something different. I've been in contact with a couple of our national partners as well as some other state administrators in this world, and we're all navigating in a very strange and unfamiliar place right now. So we're trying to lean on each other for different ideas. But I just want to just reiterate to folks that we'd love for them to stay in their current rating cycle, even though the observation will still be, you know, later, so that we can continue to communicate with them, you know, based on when their rating schedule was supposed to be. And then also that rating levels will not be impacted drop-wise for programs that we're planning to move forward with their rating. So, I'm sure there's probably questions. I know we had a few questions out there around some of the health department, you know, suggestions for early childhood environments around, you know, soft furnishings and those sorts of things. We have reached out to the authors of the tools to ask for some guidance. And at this point in time, we really haven't gotten anything that's been of good advice or helpful. And so we're going to continue to work with CDPHE, and whether or not we can even score those indicators will be just something that we're having conversations about. So no answers at this point in time, but as soon as we have a better view of what's going to occur going forward, we certainly will get information to you as quickly as possible. So. What questions do we have? I know I have lots of questions. So.
No questions yet, Karen.
Perfect. Well, you guys can always reach out to me, share with me what you're hearing in the field. If anybody has great suggestions on how we might use, videos or things in the future, or lean on some of our coaches for things that they've been doing with the programs, we're happy to take your suggestions there too. Again, we just don't have all the answers just yet.
Thanks, Karen. So those are all of our topics for today. Oh, Sarah Jane's on. I guess, and Sarah Jane, I did kind of make your announcement, but I'm going to go ahead and I'll unmute you so you can provide a little bit more detail about these meetings. Are you there? Or do I have to unmute you? Hold on. Okay, Sarah Jane, you're unmuted.
Hi, good afternoon. Okay. I was like, I'll just keep saying good afternoon until I know I'm being heard. Good afternoon, everyone. So I just wanted to briefly drop on and say thank you so much to those of you on the Early Childhood Councils who were able to attend our May CCAP Fiscal Agreement Task Force. And I did want to put the message out here again to really extend the invitation to all of you to participate by entering your contact information into the CCAP Regional Networking Google Sheet. To also take a look at that fiscal agreement toolkit that we are building. And you're also welcome to look at the meeting folder from that May 18th, 2020 meeting. Would really love to have the councils enter their information on that networking spreadsheet so that counties can reach out to you and you can collaborate with counties on increasing fiscal agreements and also collaborate with other councils as well. I think we had 8 councils during the May meeting. In error, I did not take attendance from those who were attending on the phone only, so I apologize if there were more than 8 of you and I'm not recognizing you. Monica, did you give the links, or should I share that or put that in the chat? Or
do you want to put them in the chat, and then I can, I always send a follow-up email with all the information, and I'll send them there too.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the information that was sent. You should have gotten a MailChimp email with the invite and the information about the CCAP Fiscal Agreement Task Group. This is information that's pulled straight from there. And so Monica, if I put that in here for the staff questions, will it show up, or where's the best place for me to put it?
Put it in the chat box. The questions only I can see, I believe. But I'll send out that link in the follow-up email as well.
Okay, perfect. And so bear with me while I'm being a little bit. So there's the questions, and then I guess I'm not seeing on the panel on the right-hand side where chat is.
I'll just send it in the follow-up items.
Okay, and then I made sure that the links are accurate in the one that I just sent you into the questions. So I appreciate that. And I just want to be clear so that you understand we're not expecting anything sort of above and beyond what you are typically doing, but we're really introducing counties to the valuable work that you're doing and then trying to help with that connection between you and the counties, really to try to access CCAP fiscal agreements with as many licensed childcare providers within the county or the region as possible so that families have the most access to care. So I appreciate the time to get to pop on. I don't know if anybody has any questions or if there's anything else that I can answer related to CCAP.
Any questions for Sarah Jane? I do not see any. Thank you so much.
Very
And we
good. Thank
did have a council chime in earlier when I mentioned the task force group, and they said that they hope they still continue and they've been helpful.
Oh, wonderful. Yes. So we're going to meet the third Monday of every month from 1 to 3. Continuing forward, this goal that we're trying to meet 47% of our licensed QRIS eligible providers with a CCAP fiscal agreement by December 2020. So we will be continuing the task group going forward, definitely for several more months.
Thanks, Sarah Jane.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Have a great day.
You too. Bye. We do have a few questions in here, and they're regarding the ratings, so I'll go ahead and read those and we'll answer them. This is more of a comment. It says, I'm just wondering how a rating can be reliable during this time when teachers have to wear masks all day. And yes, Kathleen, that's what we're trying to determine as well, and other states are. And then there's a question. It says, will OEC be sharing data collected from childcare providers on their needs and impact during COVID based on OEC survey? Karen, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, we had a call this morning related to some of that. I don't recall what was said about the actual reporting out, but I do believe that there was some. The whole nature of the call is how can we use this information better to get it to, CCRNRs and ECCs. And I know there's going to be some follow-up calls around that. So we'll take that question back to that team and find out. I thought what I heard this morning, and again, correct me because I'm just kind of getting looped into this, was that you guys had some access to that site and that providers could go in and just update information as they needed to. I think we're going to try to do some more communication around that to have them continue to update and try to add some additional information that might be helpful, such as, whether or not they're, accepting certain age groups of kids and that sort of thing. So, so I don't have a great answer to that other than we're still working on that piece.
Thanks, Karen. So we'll follow up with that. And the next question is regarding a rating. It says, if the program has been approved for an extension, will the program be observed with the ECRS 3 tool or the new E3 tool if the original rating month was before July 2020, but now the new rating month is after July 2020? So the answer is they'll,
yes.
Oh, go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, that's an easy one. We do have the answer to that. So we're actually having the tool follow the rating month of which they were scheduled. So let's say, for example, we have programs that are scheduled for July. In the July schedule, they will use the ERS 3 tool. That might mean that they don't get observed until October, November, December, based on how long it takes us to, backfill backlogs and what our process looks like going forward. But once we get back to doing ratings as we know them, then that tool will follow those programs that were scheduled starting in July. So anybody prior to that July schedule will still continue to use the R tool. And we made those decisions about 2 months ago just because of all of this confusion. And we didn't want people just to be like, what is going to, if I get pushed, am I going to be on a different tool kind of thing, so that they can truly be feeling prepared with what the expectation would be.
Thanks, Karen. And we do have one comment that says, but we haven't been able to coach to that tool. Kathleen, to the 3 tools or to the R tools? Okay, to the 3 tools. I definitely think that programs will have time. They'll have time to get coached to the 3 tools. Don't you think, Karen?
I would think so. I'm not exactly sure what all the councils are doing as far as telecoaching and things of that sort right now. Um, but if you, what we've been trying to help the coaches with is just, kind of teaching to not so much teaching to the tool as it is more just kind of leaning on best practice. And I understand though, setting up classrooms and those sorts of things is important for the program. So kind of knowing if they're going to be in a July rating month, it's very unlikely that they will get observed before November is what we're kind of projecting right now. So there will be some time there, of course, to do more outreach and training in that time period. Hopefully that helps.
Thanks, Karen. And we do have another comment. It says telecoaching is not impactful, especially when providers are trying to learn a new ERS.
Right. I agree that there's probably some challenges there. The good news is that we are launching the online ERS course, ERS 3 courses coming up in June, and they're very, very comprehensive, very good. And then Clayton will also be offering some teletraining on the ERS 3 as well. And so there's options for providers to get onto those trainings and really start to get oriented to the tool so that when they do start to meet with their coaches, they're going to have some familiarity with it.
And we do have a question that's about PDIS. It says, how long of a wait should programs and teachers expect to wait for their credential? It was 13 weeks before COVID. Do you know off the top of your head? I know if you go into PDIS, just to their website, right at the top, there's usually a banner that says what their wait is. But I'm not sure off the top of my head. Do you know, Karen? And Charlie?
Thought I heard them say they were running a little better than the 13 weeks, maybe in the 12-week range, but I don't know for sure exactly where they are right now. It might even be better than that. So I hesitate to give an answer, but certainly we can follow up with Jennifer and ask her.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? And we do have a little bit of time, so if you guys have questions regarding other topics, you can go ahead and type them in. It says, could a grace period be considered given what stage the site is in regarding reopening?
Absolutely.
And Karen, do you think it's worth mentioning that up to a 6-month extension that we do sometimes for?
Yeah, we've always allowed that, if a program's in a weird space, that they can work with you guys and request an extension of their existing rating. Now, obviously, we're in a very strange time period right now, and it might mean that would be more than 6 months. And at this point, we're just entertaining, like if a program's closed, obviously they're not, we can't proceed with the rating and that sort of thing. Or we have some programs that are just chomping at the bit. They want us there right away. And then there's some that are just like, no, I'm not even letting my parents in the building, kind of thing is the feedback we've been hearing. So we're really just trying to meet everybody where they're at so that at the point in time that it's deemed, safe for our ratings team to start to go back into the field, that we would obviously be working with the programs and saying, are you ready? Can we come? Kind of thing, and starting there at that point. But we will continue to protect rating levels while we're trying to navigate this situation.
Thanks, Karen. And we did have, looks like Stacy Petty just checked, and she said for the credential, there's an 8-week wait.
Oh, good.
So thanks for checking on that, Stacy. And let's see. It says centers are concerned that may not be able to do a pre-K class observation to meet the L3 through 5 documentation guidelines.
Can I ask more information on that? Are they like thinking because it's summer months?
Hello,
Tina, I just unmuted you if you want to go ahead and
so
elaborate.
a lot of sites use their CSQMI money before this fiscal year, July or June 30th, to schedule a pre-K class, and then COVID came along in March, and they weren't able to do those class observations, and they're scheduled for fall ratings. So even in the fall, they're thinking that they may not be able to allow. So I'm thinking of the sites that are rating in the fall, or were slated to rate in the fall, that they may not be able to allow pre-K class observations to happen. And they're worried about their level dropping because they're not able to do those.
Yeah, we did get a couple of questions about that. And so what we have told folks is that we will be looking at their documentation based on the rate on the month that they were supposed to be rated in. And I understand that there's certain situations where it was like, well, we had these classes scheduled.
Yeah.
We would have had them done by the time our rating date came along. Obviously, all that stuff is being taken into account because we can't penalize somebody for not being able to, do this in a timely way because this wasn't planned, right? So all of those things will be taken into account. And those are some of the things that we're trying to talk through right now is like, do we just not score in some of these areas? Or just people just get credit because, we have rating history on them that they have had it. So we'll continue to unpack that information.
Yeah, and the same goes for coaching hours per class. Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. And so, yeah, I know that some telecoaching is happening and absolutely will be, and some tele-parent meetings and some of those things are all happening. And we've just asked folks to just, do the best they can to document that, take a screenshot, whatever, until we get away from like chasing, I think the new framework that we're trying to work on is going to get away from like sign-in sheets and some of those different things. So we won't have to worry about that in the far future, but in the near future, just capturing the agendas and a screenshot of parents and that sort of thing will be good. But where we absolutely could not meet some requirement that had been met in the past, we will definitely take that into account.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, mostly my fall sites are worried.
Yeah, and definitely, have them as questions come up, feel free to gather those, but reassuring folks that, we're all just trying to figure this out ourselves, right? And that there is nobody is thinking of, how we can penalize people. We're all thinking about how we can work together to make sure that we're approaching this in a way that makes a lot of sense in this new environment we're in. And it may just look totally different, I just don't know yet.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the next question is regarding ratings as well. It says, looking forward, if a program wants to get their initial rating, when would you recommend they apply given all the unknowns?
I would recommend they apply ASAP, and this is why. So we want as many people in the queue as we possibly can, get them in there. It protects their rating level, number one. So the system, if they're currently rated and they go ahead and apply, the system locks everything down at that point. So we don't have to drop a rating level, go in and change a rating level and those sorts of things. So that's helpful if they go ahead and apply. If it's a brand new program and they've been preparing, we'd also like for them to apply because then we can start to continue to look out, the next 3-6 months and understand what the backlog is. And that's going to help us make some of those decisions around how quickly, and also have some of the projections around how long it's going to take us to get caught up.
Thanks, Karen. And we do have a question. Says, any updates on our requested budget modifications for next year? I heard from our other CDHS grant contacts that they did not expect us to need to reduce our funding. And Lisa, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you just to make sure I know which budget you're talking about. And you're listed twice, so I might have unmuted Rachel as well. I'm guessing you're logged in both as Lisa. But anyway,
Nope,
you're unmuted.
Lisa.
Go ahead.
Hi, it's Lisa. Yeah, I mentioned at some point that we had enough time and we were moving into general questions. So I apologize that this came through when Karen was still talking. This is our SBG budget. So we submitted modifications to that budget as well as some of our other CDH budgets. And we heard back from our other CDHS folks that they were not expecting us to actually have to prepare budget modifications and reductions. And I hadn't heard back on our SBG. So I was.
So Lisa, this is Karen. I'm going to try to answer. I asked this question this morning to some of our folks downstairs, so that in case we had this question today, and I haven't heard back from them. My guess is that we're going to learn more here in about 2 weeks when the JBC final budgets gets pushed out to the CDHS departments. But I hear what you're saying. Some people, I've heard it too. I've heard things say like, well, we don't think they're going to take a hit because budgets are already, some of the things are already executed. And then I've also heard people say, but we may have to. But the last conversation I had was with Lisa Vaughn, and she said, we really have to wait until mid-June to fully understand the full picture. So if we learn anything more in this short-term period, definitely we'll get some information out to you guys.
And then how will that impact contracting then that's supposed to start July 1st?
I don't know how to answer that. We may need to get Lisa to address that question.
Okay, great, thank you.
One more question about rating. It says, should they push submit L3 through 5 button even if staff will change before they're scheduled?
I think the easy answer is yes, if I'm understanding the question. If they're just wanting to get into the rating cycle, then yeah, go ahead and apply. But if I'm not understanding, can you just unmute whoever asked?
This is Tina. Yep, that's just what I need to know. I've had a site said that all their staff will be changing probably by the time they.
Oh, gotcha, Tina. Okay. Yeah, I'd say go ahead and have them submit. They will always have the opportunity to update applications and things like that before they go, forward anyway. Yeah.
That's what I told them, but they said, oh, but it's been locked down because they were supposed to rate in the spring.
Yeah,
right?
Just have them call their, they can call the help desk, but we usually just like to have them call the assessment team and they can unlock that and make those changes for them. Easy.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, have them call. They can email that ratings at claytonearlylearning.org email.
Oh, perfect, Monica. Yeah.
All right. I will give you guys a few more seconds to type in some questions. Otherwise, that's it for today. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for your time. And we will send a follow-up email with all this information and the recording. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, everybody. Be well.